All right. Well, where do we start? I mean, 50 years.
50 years, 500,000 letters. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, not if you're answering them.
I was thinking we should start with the origin story. You know, how it all began with...
A salami.
Really? I was going to say with Ram Dass, Be Here Now.
We'd never been to prison, but there we were, about to visit our friend who'd been given 12 to 40 for marijuana.
And we had just read Be Here Now.
Mm-hmm. You are loved just for being you, just for existing. You don't have to earn it.
What an awakening that was. We wanted everyone to read it.
Mm-hmm. So we brought our friend a copy.
Be Here Now.
And a salami.
At least he liked the salami.
Whatever. That visit changed us. It was like we found a sort of calling, like we had something to offer the people inside.
A salami in every cell.
Yeah. No. The book. Ram Dass sent copies of his book to prisons all over the country.
And now he was getting letters back.
And it got to be a little bit overwhelming.
Because who would have thought inmates had time to write?
Ram Dass? Yes, we'd be happy to answer the letters. We're young, but...
We are committed, and I'm sure we could offer some helpful advice.
Absolutely, you know, just simple stuff.
Dear Human Kindness Foundation, I have a question. How is it that the universe is unfolding as it should, and at the same time, I'm the creator of everything in my world? 2 people are dead because of me. Is that my having created this for myself, or is it the world unfolding as it should? Could you please explain?
And so it began. Letter.
By letter.
By letter.
I know this letter is just another grain of sand on top of the mountains of letters you already have. But I want to get some things off my chest, okay? I'm tired of putting my hands on people. When I was 11, I was wrestling with a grown man. He was drunk.
I let him hit me a few times, and then I swung back. My mother, an alcoholic, finally stopped it. It was my first act of violence. Now my charges are domestic violence, habitual offender, and strangulation.
Dear friend, it sounds like you're struggling with some pretty heavy stuff right now.
I don't even recall how this last thing got started. Just being way too drunk, which only adds to my shame. Could you send a copy of your book, We're All Doing Time? I really need some advice on how to let the past go.
Friend, you don't have to let the past go. It isn't here, right? Unless you stay trapped in it in your own mind.
Listen, a lot of us had traumatic childhoods, parents that couldn't help themselves, much less us, but no matter what you've done, you deserve to break that cycle.
Dear HKF, I served 4 years in the Marine Corps. Before that, I fought in plenty of wars, gang wars back in New Jersey. Now I'm serving 55 years for killing a man in a bar fight. I'm sure you know
How rough life can be for someone who tries to be gentle and wise in prison. So many people
mistake gentleness for weakness. When someone in here tries to provoke me, I do my best to return their animosity with love. But man,
it's really hard. You know, I try. I really try. But this place is so full of ignorance and prejudice. And prejudice and ignorance make me angrier than anything. Receiving your books and letters helps a lot. Thanks, Scum.
Dear,
Just call me Scum.
right. Dear Scum, you asked for help in overcoming your violent nature. What you have to understand is the environment you're complaining about is the help. Every bit of prejudice and ignorance is just part of the training.
Seriously, how could you overcome your violent nature if you were in a place where everyone was cool and everything was all right? Hell, anyone can be non-violent in a place like that.
Also, maybe it's time to let go of the nickname scum.
Yeah, I guess it's time to let go of a lot of old stuff. Love, Mike.
Dear Human Kindness, could you share any guidance on disappointment? I was involved in a car accident and I'm facing a lot of disappointments, including a possible 15-year sentence. I have a low bond, but my family won't sign. They say I haven't followed through in the past, but I've never been in a situation like this, so I'm confused. Having to rely on a court-appointed attorney has also been a disappointment. Thanks for any guidance.
Oh boy.
Dear friend, at first I wasn't sure if you were disappointed in yourself or someone else. Then you wrote, I was involved in a car accident, and the rest of the paragraph was about you. I'm facing disappointment. I'm facing 15 years. My family won't help. But what about the accident? If you're facing 15 years, someone was killed. What kind of disappointment has their death caused that family?
You need to start by being honest. Just who is the root cause of disappointment?
The journey to peace starts with a lot of hard inner work. Feeling guilty? Fantastic. Feeling ashamed? It's excellent. That's where you start.
Feeling bad about pain we've caused others. Doesn't that show you just how deeply we're connected as human beings?
Dear HKF family, I'm in prison for beating my wife, and I don't have no one to blame but me for being here. This is where I belong. I read in the newsletter that one of you did 19 years. How did you forgive yourself for that crime? I've been in for 9 years and I still haven't forgiven myself. I just feel like shit for what I did.
This was mine. Friend, thank you for writing such an honest letter. I think I still hate myself, just not as much. I try to do all the good I can. I owe it to the people I've hurt. I can't change the past, but I can make the world a better place for the person next to me.
Radical honesty. That's where the journey starts.
Here's some radical honesty for you. Dear HKF, you lost your goddamn mind. That candy-ass advice you gave in your last newsletter is bullshit, man.
Dear HKF, I'm just a few cells down from a man who murdered my mother when we were children. He beat her to death in front of us. I remember kneeling beside her, crying, begging her not to die.
Total bullshit advice.
That man was never convicted, and I've carried that pain every day for 20 years.
This dude is 2 cells away from the guy who beat his mama to death with a goddamn baseball bat. Fuck it, the dude needs to get a shank and take that motherfucker off the count.
I can't cope. I'm afraid to sleep. I have nightmares where I start convulsing like my mother. It's tearing me up, and without any counseling here, I'm turning to you for help.
Hey, I'm no killer, but I swear nobody on earth could live after taking my mama. I can practice spiritual principles once that dude's in the ground.
I need to find a way to deal with this rage and depression. I don't see how, unless he confesses or is convicted, or I somehow bring myself to forgive him. I'm hoping your insights can be helpful.
Dear friend, recognizing this as an opportunity for spiritual growth is more than half the journey. Most people wouldn't even consider it. They just want him dead.
You think? Damn, I wish I could talk to the dude that wrote you. I'd give him some real advice.
Maybe try and see this man as he truly is. Someone with pain and fear and nightmares just like you. I think if you could see him as an ordinary man who just did terrible things, your own nightmares might calm down.
Hell, what do I know? But I still think your advice is full of shit.
Someone hurt him way back when, and he hurt you and your mom, and if you hurt him, the pain just rolls on forever. And so isn't it best to stop the wheel of pain now?
God damn, but I'm mad. This is making me sick in my stomach.
Dear friend, yeah, it's intense, isn't it? One of the worst things a person can do is to kill someone on purpose. That act creates tremendous harm, not just in the mind and heart of the killer, but in their family and friends and the entire community.
I'm so mad I'm fucking crying.
That's all right. Murders and executions shame us all. They're our supreme failure to be decent human beings. This friend had the horrible misfortune to see his mother killed right in front of him, but it's not loyalty or love to become a killer himself. That's not what any mother wants for her son.
True, but no, I'd kill the guy. I didn't want to be able to respond any other way.
But does that really honor his mother? Or does it just add to the pain and bloodshed to a world that has quite enough already?
Dude, I didn't say I was right. I just said that's what I do. But, you know, keep doing your thing. We're all
just stumbling toward the light.
Dear family, I'm going to keep it all the way real with you. I'm no angel, but I'm no monster either. I was falsely accused of raping a white woman. After 11 years, I paroled, but with nobody to talk to and no help, I ended up living on the streets and eventually got locked up again. I don't need to lie to you. What for? I've spent most of my life incarcerated, but the truth is, I didn't rape that white woman. I never hit a woman in my life. Please don't judge me on half the truth. Half the truth is always a lie.
Dear friend, I absolutely understand how often charges are completely wrong or complicated or layered in racism. It's why we don't ask people about their charges. It's fine if someone wants to tell us, but we don't ask. We ask,
how are you living your life now?
Or how do you want to be of service to the people around you?
Or how can we support you to find more peace? Those answers tell us a whole lot more about someone than a conviction does.
Dear HKF, the two absolute worst things an inmate can be is a cop and a baby raper, and I'm both.
From the time I was 7, I was molested by a family friend. He told me not to tell or my family would be hurt.
I was convicted of sex-related offenses involving 3 16-year-old boys at the correctional center where I worked.
Now, I've also committed the crime of child molestation. And no, there's no excuse for what I've done. And I'm not trying to make none.
Early on, Ram Dass told us, when you get a letter, don't up-level it right away to the snow on the top of the mountain. You know, don't up-level it to everything is all right.
I feel dirty and that my life wasn't worth nothing. I can't find a way around my past. Write if you can. I could use a friend.
Many times I attempted to cure the disease, sitting at home, cold barrel of my duty weapon resting at my temple.
You have to feel, really feel, what Ram Dass called the blood at your feet. If you can't let yourself feel the sorrow, the pain, the intensity, how can anyone trust what you have to say? There have been letters, a woman, a mother, who rolled on top of her infant while she was high on meth and smothered the baby. Can you let that in? Because it will gut you.
Dear human kindness, I'm in prison for an unspeakable act of violence I did to a member of my family while I was strung out on painkillers. My victim is surviving in a wheelchair with a feeding tube. I don't think I deserve kindness or forgiveness or a second chance.
Every day is a struggle. Remorse does not even begin to explain what I feel. I don't think I will or can or should ever forgive myself.
How do you tell someone you will live with this your entire life? This is your path up the mountain. But always remember, they're writing because they want to be reminded of the snow on the mountain, that there's purpose and meaning in life, to be reminded they are loved.
Things that happened to you when you were 7 should not have happened. Somebody should have protected you, and nobody did, and that is a tragedy.
We are all capable of a moment of anger that can lead to long-term suffering for ourselves and others.
Forgiveness doesn't mean you didn't do something wrong, but you can honor the victim by creating no more harm to others or to yourself.
You can be healed. You are a child of God.
You are loved, and you are worthy of that love.
Please, read that as many times as it takes. It is the truth, no matter how hard it is to believe after you've harmed someone. If all you can do right now is read those lines again, then start there.
Dear HKF, you constantly remind us to practice radical acceptance and loving kindness. But I can't find it in my heart to love the guards here. Shoot, I don't even like them. I don't like what they say, how they act, what they believe, and yet I know they're human beings. Can you help?
Dear friend, isn't your desire to love them actually a kind of love already?
Huh.
Dear human kindness, I'm considered one of the most dangerous offenders in state prison. But the death of my granddaughter from COVID has broken me. It's tragic that a 6-year-old had to die an excruciating death for me to change. But if we all have to die, I guess we might as well be kind to each other now, right? I mean, we're all in this together.
Dear friend, all we can do is love the forms while they're here. Grieve when they leave, and let the grief go when the time comes. There's no timetable for healing. Loss is one of the biggest and most painful life lessons there is.
Dear HKF, our pod lost its copy of We're All Doing Time. Damn. The guards confiscate everything here. That book changed my life. I was arrested last year, a junkie. I was so lost and so angry, I was cursing God and the whole world. After I got arrested, I learned I had a heart condition. Just think, if I would have been out one more day, one more needle, I would not be sitting here writing this letter. I grew up in church, but I have felt God more in this jail than anywhere else in my life. I would love a book of my own. I get out in a month.
Dear HKF, I'm a formerly condemned man whose conviction was overturned. Can you imagine the pressures, questions, the fears after 20 years on death row? What do? I've never been successful living in society.
Dear HKF, I'm super lonely and thinking crazy thoughts and scared of getting out. I've never been out of prison longer than a year. Never held a job. Never paid rent. Never had a credit card. Hell, I've never done nothing. So I don't know where to start. I have my parole clothes, and that's it.
Dear HKF, my release date's in 4 months. I'll be living out of my car. Where do I go?
Where do I go?
Where do I go from here?
Dear family, it seems like just last month I was asking for a copy of We're All Doing Time, but that was 19 years ago. There was a little slip of paper inside the book.
With faith, no fear printed on it. I stuck it above the toilet in my cell where I could see it every day. I took the paper with me to San Quentin and stuck it on the locker there. And when I was transferred, I brought the paper here. And for 19 years, the words faith, no fear worked their way into my brain, soul, and heart until one day I had the earth-shattering realization that no matter what, and I mean no matter what, I'm gonna be okay. The part of me, spirit, or whatever you want to call it, that part is untouchable. So where's the room for fear?
Why is it such a scary thing to love? This guy in the chow hall was bitching about the food, so I gave him my cake. No biggie. Didn't change the world. Didn't even change the guy. He still complains about everything. But in that moment, there was something deeper between us. So hey, give that last soup or stamp away to the creepy guy you normally wouldn't look at twice and see for yourself.
My dear ones across the globe, a friend on death row and I are sitting together apart on Wednesdays from 7 to 8 p.m. Together apart because we are all together even when we're apart. So, in this time of so much suffering, let's sit quietly, together and apart, and bring some loving kindness to our world.
Dear HKF, the Together Apart practice saved my life, and not just mine. This past summer, an inmate attacked me in my cell. I slammed him on my bunk, headbutted him in the face, pulled my blade, and held it to his neck.
2 years ago, I would have killed him, but because of my spiritual practices, for the first time in my life, I stopped. After we both cleaned up, I asked why he attacked me. He said he'd heard I was a good fighter and wanted to see if it was true.
We both understood how bad it could have been. It was a Wednesday. That night, we sat across from each other from 7 to 8. This offender has gone his way now, but on Wednesday nights, we still send love, compassion, and hope to each other.
Dear family, it's not just COVID that infects this facility. Racism runs rampant. Fear and hate surrounds us, and here in Montana, but at least 10 of us now sit together apart with you each week. We're all of different beliefs, but we sit together anyway, without judgment.
Dear HKF, I'm Kat, and I just want to give you a shout out for being amazing.
Hi, I'm Kat's Bunky. I loved your letter so much.
For real, that book is getting passed around our pod quicker than Hep C.
Laughed my ass off. I came in withdrawing from fentanyl. Your book was the only thing I could focus on to help through the sickness.
Dear HKF, over the last 2 years, I've witnessed the most complete change in a man I've ever seen. He went from being extremely violent to being kind and thoughtful. When I finally got up the nerve to ask what changed, all he said was, write and ask for 2 books. Read them with an open mind, and I would know. So, here I am. Mind open, please send me We're All Doing Time and just another spiritual book. Thank you.
Dear friend, welcome to the Human Kindness family. Your books are on the way.
What about this salami?
Oh, come on. 50 years, 500,000 letters, 1. salami.
Dear family, after reading the books, I've begun to realize that my actions, thoughts, and feelings do matter. They do make a difference, not just in my life, but in the lives of others as well.
This life has never been about me, and it's not about you.
This life has always been about us. Thank you for being part of it.
What a journey.
Indeed.
Well, it's not over yet. 500,001.
This is that.
Yeah, what's it do? What do you got?
One more?
That way, that way, that way. Oh, one more, sorry. No, she had a show at Playmakers.
Let's have another hand for the Hidden Voices Project.
Take a chance.
Absolutely.